Our relationship with money reveals so much about us. Money is a very complicated topic, and most of us are totally uncomfortable talking about it. Sometimes we'd actually rather talk about more intimate and personal stuff, even our sex lives, rather than talk about how much money we're making or not making. So, what's your relationship with money? Hi, I'm your host Mariella, and in this session today we are going to be talking money business. Now, if you like what you hear, please do subscribe and join us every week for the sessions that I am always building around business mentoring. And today's session is really and truly an important one because we always either skirt around it, skim around it, walk around the pavements, but never deal with the subject right as we're going to do today. So, has this ever happened to you that sometimes you look at your bank account and you think about your dreams and you think, well, my bank balance and my dreams are really not aligned at all? When you think of money, more often than not, you're thinking about anxiety. And when you think that 50% of Americans and 40% of Europeans are unable to come up with even $1,000 in case of an emergency, and emergencies, as we know, do happen, it's not a surprise that when people think about money, they feel stressed and they also feel anxious. And did you know that financial stress is the number one cause of relationship breakdown? And it doesn't only mean relationships with our partners, although that's primary, but it could even mean relationships with our siblings, relationships with friends. Because when couples argue about money, when people argue about money, often it leads to separation or divorce or a friendship breakdown. And although it seems that money is the root of all problems, it actually has a much bigger meaning. Why is this? Because it's a lot more than just about money. When we argue about money, we're arguing about issues that go a lot deeper than the actual dollars and cents. And these are powerfully emotional issues that can really break relationships. When we argue about money, we're arguing really about our beliefs, our goals, our values. Everyone sets and develops a money belief based on the experiences of our life. And whether you realize this or not, part of your upbringing has such a huge impact on how you build your relationships about money. When you and your partner are having different money beliefs, it can really affect your relationship. Sometimes it can even cause these breakups. For example, your partner believes that having a great car will add to the family status, while you think that the money should be going towards creating a nest egg or a pension or something that will give you a lot more security in the future. Or perhaps you want the kids to have the best of everything and your partner thinks that you're just spoiling them. So for this reason, a lot of people decide to not even talk about money. And they never talk about their stresses, they never talk about their anxieties because they feel a lot of shame surrounding the subject of money. And the reason where this shame stems from is usually the fear of being judged. You think, I don't want people to judge me because I can't pay my bills on time. I don't want people to think that I can't afford to keep up with the standards that they're expecting. I don't want people to think that I'm weak because I have to pass on some stuff because it falls outside my budgets. And, believe it or not, us women are a lot worse when it comes to the subject of our relationship with money than men. Seriously and truly. As women, we compromise our stability with a lot of things. For example, on average, everywhere around the world, women are paid still, until today, 20% less than men holding the same job. We compromise our stability when we make a bold decision to have a family. Without generalizing, it's almost always women who take time off in their careers when they're building a family, and they surrender their welfare and and their ability to generate an income and surrender it to their husbands or their partners. So this in itself, it's such a huge metric by which we women start surrendering our financial freedom. And it's a huge love that actually motivates it. So there's no surprise that women are more emotional about money. We're just wired a bit different to men, and guys are a lot more confident than women, even about what they are actually worth. As women, we tend to downplay our real worth. And, you know, sometimes you think about it, and recently I posted something on my Facebook group, Lay the Boss on Fire, and it went something on the lines of, you don't get paid by the hour, but you get paid by the value of what you bring to your client. And I got such amazing responses from so true, right, amazing, makes sense. But then I posted another post which said, do you think you're valued your real worth in the marketplace? Which is pretty much the same question, just put in a very different tone and in very different words. And the reaction wasn't amazing, yes, makes sense anymore. It was, I'm not sure what I'm worth, I don't think I'm paid enough, but I don't know how to ask for more. So I consistently set my price, but I end up giving discounts. I'm embarrassed to ask for more money. I don't think I'm properly paid, but it's too awkward to ask for more. So usually these are the feelings that mess up our head around money. And this could be for guys as well, but it's mostly women who suffer from this syndrome. And you know, sometimes our reward ratio is really a little bit messed up, because when you associate yourself with this situation, you're going to, for example, let's put a scenario. You're going to go into a mall and you see an amazing pair of boots which costs, let's say, $100, and winter is next door, and you know you need them badly. You try them on, you love them, but you think, it's best I wait till next week and I see, you know, what portion of my salary I still have left, and then maybe if there's some extra, I'll go and get them next week. And that's it. And you leave them, put them back on the shelf, you walk out, and when you do that, you clearly have no intention of returning. But whilst you're still in the same mall, you actually see a pretty little dress which would suit your princess so beautifully. And without thinking twice, without thinking of yourself, and without thinking of those boots, you actually go and buy the little dress. Now, in that sense, we have a messed up emotional situation with money. We have a different attitude to men than money, with money. So let's put the same scenario, and again, without trying to generalize, I would say a man who needs a pair of boots will go and get the chore done. He goes, he buys it, and that's it. And even if he happens to see the same dress for the same cute princess that you have at home, he probably won't even think of looking at it twice and getting it. Now, I don't want to be judgmental, and this is definitely not generic, because I know some guys who end up spending a lot more on their kids than they ever spend on themselves. But on average, the ratio would work out like that. So I also asked another question in my group, and it went on, what is the first thing that you think when someone mentions money to you? And the answers were really varied, and they came in answers like freedom, security, independence, travel, cost, the bottom line. And then for some others it was anxiety, stress, never enough. And you know, this is something that really builds up over time in our relationship with money. Whether we like to admit it or not, a lot of assumptions and conceptions about money are usually tied with our childhood and the way we were brought up. My experience with my childhood was always one where my father was doing 3 jobs. He was a blue-collared laborer. He juggled with 3 jobs to make sure that he made ends meet. He worked at the bank driving a cash van, and after work he would work in one of the houses of the rich, doing, paint jobs, maintenance, whatever. His attitude always was, you need to learn as much as possible so that one day you can become rich. For him, being poor was not shameful, but not having a good education was something that was a big source of distress. And for that reason, he really pushed the 3 of us, we're 3 girls, goaded us, because he believed that acquiring knowledge was going to be the solution in order to get a better life. And because of my father's attitude with money, we grew up with respect for money, with respect for work, and a great sense of budgeting, because there was never enough to go round. We also had a desire to become affluent, because we would proverbially cross that path of going from poor to rich. So I have to say I'm really grateful for my upbringing, because it gave me a very healthy approach to making money, and I still have a very great work-life balance, even though it has taken me years to realize that I have this approach thanks to my parents. But I also realized that for many of us, the relationship is very different. It's proven that your relationship with money is forged at the very tender age of 10. And it depends on many preconceived ideas. For the poor, people with money are usually people who are to be judged. For example, we think of the rich as being spoiled, being capricious. Possibly we think of rich people to be in a class who do not value hard work. We think of rich people possibly as being corrupt. We think of people with money as people who are shallow and given to just enjoying life, or worse still, we think of rich people, who are avarice and they are just hooked up on making money, and therefore they will never have a good quality of life, and therefore they will never have time for family and for friends. And with all these preconceptions, it will come as no big surprise to you that most of us will never really make much money. Because let's face it, if this is what we really think, then who wants to be rich? We don't want to be judged as being spoiled or capricious or shallow or end up having no family life or friends. But then there are others who are born into riches, and the attitude may be actually of shame that they have money that they don't deserve. So it would be also a source of distress, because they feel they never belong around their friends, they never belong to the group of normal people that they've grown to love, people who are perhaps not as rich as them. So they become isolated in their own world. Again, it does happen, although it may not always be the case, but this can happen as well. So how are we going to go about building a healthier relationship with money? So I'm going to give you a few tips how to build a healthy relationship with money. The first tip is that you need to think of money as a medium. Money is nothing but a tool. Money doesn't solve your problems. Your relationship with money will solve your problems, but money in its intrinsic value will not solve your problems. And money cannot be your ultimate goal. So if you want to, for example, decide that you want to become a millionaire in a couple of years or in a year, it will not happen. The chances are very slim that it happens. If on the other side you decide you're going to become an entrepreneur who's a property dealer, who flips property, specializes in the market because you love doing that, then the chances of becoming a millionaire are going to be much, much bigger. So your goals need to be very specific. For example, I want to make more so I can travel more. I need to earn more because I want to see my kids having a great education. But having money as a goal is not specific enough, and therefore it's not easily attainable. Besides, money is a means to a purpose. collecting money and not doing anything valuable with it is really sad. It's really pathetic. Therefore, wanting more money will serve no higher purpose and will not be giving you any direction in terms of a goal. But when you start thinking specifically, you will also be a lot more careful with impulse spending, because you will have an ultimate goal to achieve. As such, trivial spending will not fit into your equation. It will not fit into your ultimate goal. Once you stop the impulse spending, you will realize that you will collect much quicker towards your goal. So you need to honestly ask yourself, what is it that I want most, really and truly? And direct your energy towards earning money in order to achieve that. My second tip is that you should read books that will enlighten your relationship with money. I've currently finished one of my very favorite books, and it's Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And this book is all about how Robert had two fathers. A real father who was philosophically very rich but intrinsically quite poor, and a father who was the father of his best friend, who taught him how to earn money with a few lessons of real life, and that was how to become financially affluent. Naturally, the result was that the poor dad taught him the values of life, whilst the rich dad taught him how to make money and become rich, always respecting his values. The lessons in this book are so valuable because they're taken on a journey of a child who is influenced by two very important people in his life, which led him to make not only the right choices about his relationship with money, but also the best choices for his life. Getting other people's experience on how to make money and how to embrace your relationship with money will give you a real shortcut to your own learning and how you can literally turn decades into days, as my favorite mentor Tony Robbins loved to say. And I would think that books are really important. This is one quote from Robert Kiyosaki's book. It's not what you say out of your mouth that determines your life. It's what you whisper to yourself that has the most power. I think that is so beautiful. It's what we believe. The third one is you have to build an abundance mindset over a scarcity mindset. If you are just going to be focusing on the very little you have, you will remain with very little in your life. In order to cultivate an abundance mindset, you need to give, and give a lot. Imagine you had so much money that you have the power of donating $100,000. Now imagine that you have so much abundance that you could afford to give it without thinking about it and without thinking twice. Whilst it's probably not possible to donate $100,000 in cash if you're not making that kind of money, you could always volunteer a couple of hours of your time and give, some help to charity. Even if you have the power to stop and listen to someone with a problem, you could really be donating very charitable love. A smile, a shoulder pat given to someone willingly will give you so much more in return. And this is how you get to create the abundance mindset. If on the other hand you're living with a scarcity mindset, you need to start journaling your gratitude for all the wonderful things in your life. We can have such meaningful conversations with people who need so much more than us. You can try finding the positives in many things in your life. And finally, it would probably be a very good idea to reduce on your media consumption. Now, this works against me if you're watching me on one of my social platforms, but it's the truth. See what you consume, and consume with attitude, with gratitude, and with the choice of what you're consuming is something that is going to gain your emotional power. Another great book is The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This time it's by Stephen Covey, who defined his perspective of the abundance mindset as a concept in which a person believes that there are enough resources and success to share with everyone. Although I know that sharing is caring sounds like a cliche because it's overused and actually abused, there is some truth that you will cultivate an abundance mindset by sharing your energy, sharing your mind, sharing your resources, sharing your time. You grow rich when you give. And the fourth, wealth is a mindset. Now, this seems to follow through from the point before, but I guess by now you've guessed that if you really want to make it big and you want to become rich, you need to grow the wealth mindset. In case you didn't know, the top 1% of the world's richest people are mostly self-made people. It is less than 20% who have actually inherited their money. And that includes the Queen of England, who ranks 372 in the rich list of the world. Most millionaires will tell you that their wealth came from multiple investments or multiple job lines, and rarely does it come from one single source of revenue. The key to their success is literally having the millionaire's mindset. In the book, The Millionaire Next Door, you will discover that true wealth is generated by people who create and earn their own money. Actually, the following may sound quirky, but it's also quite true. The first generation creates it, the second generation grows it, and the third generation blows it. When money comes your way through inheritance, you never quite understand the value of money. And fortunes are created and fortunes are lost. This is why the relationship with money of the third generation can be flirty and frivolous. Again, not generalizing. Because when someone doesn't earn the money, the respect for money is very different to those who are making, a lot of effort to gain that money. However, on a very practical level, if you're living hand to mouth, and if you're living from one paycheck to another, you're going to need to take some very conclusive action and break from that pattern. If you think that most millionaires have created their own wealth without either a fairy godmother or a prince charming saving the day, you know that you have the potential to create your own opportunities. This is so important. You need to take responsibility for your creativity and create your own opportunities and create your own wealth. You need to get rid of limiting beliefs around money especially. It is your limiting beliefs that will actually hold you back from getting the life that you truly deserve. And the fifth, last and very important point is treat a portion of your income as though you didn't earn it. Whatever your income is, you can always hive off part of your income and put it in some sort of passive earning portfolio. The more your income grows, the more you scale your life, the more you grow your income, and the more you look back at your life when you were earning much less, you realize how much money you actually squandered on stuff that you just didn't need. In fact, half the American population that's over 55 has a good chance of retiring poor. It's estimated that if your income is less than $20,000 in a year, that you're verging on the poverty line if you're living in the US. So how are you going to prevent yourself from becoming into the potentially wrong side of the 50%? Well, one of the most important things is to create a fund that will provide you with a passive income. Now, in my school, Mind Your Biz Academy, this is one of the sections that we really put a lot of importance to. So if you want to head over to our website, and the link is below, you can always check out this academy and the fun stuff that we do there. When you get to the point of retirement, you will be unable to generate new and valuable income. It's also the time when you need to have your safety net very well in place so that you will avoid the distress that will definitely kill you ahead of time. And how do you do this? Well, one of the most important things is that you start putting away part of your income at an early age. Don't leave it down to the last minute, because there's not going to be a possibility of recovering all the time you've lost. Whenever we lose time, it's never going to be donated back. So starting a portfolio at a young age is something really important. You can use mutual funds, you can get advice from someone, and trust me, don't trust yourself to do it. You should set up either standing order so that as soon as the money hits your bank account, part of it is going to go away, and therefore it's like you've never seen it and it doesn't belong to you. Otherwise, if you're going to say, I am going to take control of this and I'm going to put away so much this month, so much per month, you will never do it. This is like, trying to go on a diet. You keep telling yourself, I'll start next week, and there's always another dinner party or a reason why you will not start next week. So treat part of your money as though it is never yours. And then once you have the peace of mind and the safety net in place, you start building a nest egg into your future, and this will definitely improve your relationship with money. One last book I want to tell you about is that of Ken Honda. And Ken Honda, who is the equivalent of Warren Buffett in Japan and the author of Happy Money, which is the Japanese way of making peace with your money, goes on to explain that the only way to have a healthy relationship with your money is to always give something extra. And this we've already resonated with before earlier in one of the tips. He says, I found it fun to pay more simply to see someone's reaction. People are just not used to getting paid more. I feel it's my purpose to change people's minds about giving and receiving. It gives me great pleasure. And this is Ken Honda with Happy Money. This resonates well with cultivating the abundance mindset, which is the prime motivator to appreciate and have much more in your life. And just in case you didn't know, August 14 is the National Financial Awareness Day in the US, and the UK have created a Talk Money Week, which is this year going to be from the 9th November to the 13th November 2021, where the country is encouraged to talk about managing money properly, starting from pocket money all the way to pensions. Now, if you've enjoyed this session of creating the abundance mindset where it comes to money and developing a healthy relationship with money, then please push a like and hit on the subscribe button so that you can always be informed when I come up with the next video next week. Thank you for following me, and I wish you a lovely and healthy life.